The story opens up as Emma Green during a debriefing on the moon's lunar base. Emma is an American astronaut, a former Navy pilot, and the commander of NASA's first mission to Mars. She's uncomfortable recapping a crisis moment to a NASA psychologist, Dr. Putney, that occurred earlier. Her superior wants to know how she's feeling, but Emma would rather prepare for the launch to Mars. 2 weeks earlier, Emma and her husband, Matt, attend their daughter Lex's soccer game. Instead of taking the shot, she passes her goal-making opportunity to a teammate, who misses. Matt and Emma encourage Lex to take the shot next time as they make their way to a press conference ahead of Emma's big mission. Here the press is introduced to the crew of Atlas, the spaceship that is headed to Mars. Aside from Emma, the team is composed of representatives from multiple nations across the globe. Dr. Kwesi Weisberg-Abin is the only team member to have zero space experience, but he is a leading botanist looking forward to growing life on Mars. Misha Papanov is a Russian cosmonaut, the most experienced of the crew. Next to him is Lu Wang, one of the world's finest chemists, and a woman of little words. Finally, from India comes accomplished pilot Ram Arya. Asked about the families they'll be leaving behind when they embark on this 3-year mission, Emma reveals her husband, Matt, is also a trained astronaut. Unspecified health reasons have forced him to retire, but he will serve as the mission's chief engineer from Mission Control on Earth. Back at home, Emma, Lex, and Matt enjoy a family dinner on the patio beneath fairy lights. Lex brings up a question asked by one of the journalists. She asks if it is true there is a 50-50 chance she won't survive the trip. Matt tries to reassure Lex that will not happen, but Emma is more honest about the risks involved with space travel. She visits Lex in her bedroom later, gifting her a sterling silver bracelet with 3 charms for the Earth, the Moon, and Mars. Emma tells her the string woven between them represents her making her way back to Lex. Then she shares a moment with her husband as he plays the piano. Matt confesses that the day her spaceship launches will be the worst day of his life, because, for a moment, he has to wait and see if her shuttle will fail to launch, blowing her to pieces. It's why he wanted to hide the reality from their daughter. Still, he believes Emma is a hero, and he would have gone in a heartbeat if the doctors would have let him. Back in the present day, on the moon, Emma and the Atlas crew are at a moon gas station of sorts where other astronauts help them prep for their eventual trip to Mars. Everyone meets the spacecraft communicator, Jack Wilmore, as the crew members get settled. Kwesi is having a hard time adjusting to his first time in space with the gravity changes. He spends most of his time retching in the bathroom. Each crew member will have an individual debriefing session with Darlene Cole, head of Mission Control. She wants to get the full story of an incident that happened when the spaceship launched from Earth. Meanwhile on Earth, Matt tries to seem nonchalant about the incident and says that every mission has a screw-up. A short and quick scene reveals that a fire broke out inside the spaceship after the launch, but the incident isn't explained in detail at the moment. Ram is the first to be debriefed, and he remains loyal to Emma. He is confident that she would never do anything to endanger her crew. Emma then calls home to speak with Lex and her crew support, Melissa, who will help take care of her family while she's away. She only manages to show them a view of the moon and asks about Lex's game before losing the signal. On the other hand, Misha lays into Emma during his debriefing. Through a flashback, it is revealed that she removed a panel that resulted in an acidic chemical called pretreat being released, almost blinding Kwesi. The pretreat combined with oxygen caused a fire. However, Kwesi strongly maintains that Emma saved his life. The alert triggered Misha and Lou, and Misha claimed he came up with the idea to quickly get a fire bag and water to suffocate the flames. However, as the fire rose, he said Emma froze and did nothing. Misha is not impressed with her leadership skills, and he relays as much to Darlene. Lou's story contradicts Misha's in several ways. According to her, she was the one who came up with the idea to get the fire bag. It makes sense, as she is a chemist. As for her take on Emma, Lou says the commander caused the fire by trying to smother the pretreat with a cloth, but whatever was on it acted as an accelerant and caused the fire. Rather than freezing, Lou claims Emma's actions were hysterical and reckless. At Mission Control, Darlene isn't sure what to believe, and it's not made any easier by learning both Misha and Lou spoke with their directors. They want Emma replaced. The spacecraft communicator Jack Wilmore could feasibly take over, but Darlene doesn't like his selfish nature, nor does she think it's smart to replace the commander 24 hours before launch. Matt happens to overhear the chance when he brings an update on patching the leak in the ship, and argues that this is Emma's mission. The scene then shifts to a continuation of Emma's original session with her therapist. She knows there is dissension among the crew, particularly with Misha and Lou, that they don't think she's fit to lead. When Dr. Putney asks her if she is, Emma doesn't respond. Back on Earth, when Matt returns home that evening, he collapses while making dinner. A frantic Lex immediately calls emergency services. It is then revealed that Matt has a disorder related to his blood vessels and had a stroke. He's escorted to the hospital in critical condition, and the doctors plan to operate on a lesion in his brain. Emma contacts one of the surgeons, Dr. Lawrence Madigan from the moon, to have him sent over to operate on her husband. Then she manages to get a call to Lex, who pleads with her mother not to go through with the launch and to return home. Before Emma can decide, she and Lex share an emotional conversation where she implores her daughter to be strong, stronger than ever before. She then tries to speak to Matt, despite him being unconscious, begging him to recover and playing him some of the piano music she knows he loves. After Matt goes into surgery, the scene shifts to the ship where Misha and Lou are telling Jack he is the superior commander and should replace Emma on the trip. Jack isn't exactly against the idea, as he received the same training as Emma. On the other hand, both Ram and Kwesi are against it. Kwesi asks Misha to be sympathetic to her now that her husband just had a stroke. Misha points out that this would mean that she needs to go back home now more than ever. Just then, Emma descends the ladder into the area. She doesn't acknowledge his comments, although she makes it obvious she heard them. She only instructs him to finish the patch within the hour, and that she will debrief Houston herself. Next, she contacts Darlene to tell her if Matt has complications during surgery, she should be prepared to transfer command to Jack. But Darlene is adamantly against the idea. No astronaut has abandoned the mission, and she thinks Emma giving up would be spitting in the face of every woman who came before her. Emma is not having any of Darlene's talks as she says her family needs her, and cuts off communication until they know something more definitive. In a flashback, we see the early days of Matt and Emma's relationship, when Lex was still a baby. Matt received a letter confirming his illness, and that he can no longer be an astronaut. One of NASA's high-ranking officials, George Lane, is in a boardroom with the directors of the other countries. He argues that Emma is the best person for the job, just as Darlene interrupts and demands a meeting. When she fills him in, George grows increasingly frustrated. He wants Putney to get a complete prognosis on Emma and the results of the surgery. Most importantly, he doesn't want anyone else to know about Emma's doubts. At the base, Dr. Putney asks Emma for her version of the incident. According to her, Kwesi is the one who removed the panel in the birth passageway when the chemical leak occurred, unaware of the ramifications. Emma quickly moves Kwesi out of harm's way, and then removes her shirt to try and smother the chemical before it can ignite. Unbeknownst to her, a chemical in her sweat worked as an accelerant and ignited. Despite her doubts, Putney thinks she did the right thing and acted as a good commander should. She went toward danger without regard for her own life and got her crew out of harm's way. Then she receives a call from Earth. Fortunately, Matt has come through his surgery with flying colors. Emma says she's going to go home, but Matt doesn't want her to. He needs her to do her job, to go and lead the mission to Mars. Ultimately, Lex agrees with him, and with her family's encouragement, Emma decides to make the mission to Mars. Neither Lou nor Misha is happy with this development, but as Emma says, they better learn because she's not going anywhere. The scene then shifts as Emma gives a speech to the world before they begin their launch to Mars. As they launch, Emma makes one final promise: we will return home. In the following scene, the Atlas crew begin adjusting to their mission to Mars. They video chat with people from around the world. Among them are Lou's husband and son. On Earth, Lex wakes up at Melissa's house after spending the night with them while her father remains in the hospital. We meet Melissa's daughter, Cassie, who Lex used to play with as a kid. Lex is eager to get to the hospital to see her dad. Nat's nurse checks on him. He can't seem to feel anything below his waist, but she doesn't give him any answers, only says his doctor will be in soon to go over his neurovitals. Back in space, Emma begins deploying the various pods and devices to get the ship settled for the long journey to Mars while George and Darlene watch from Earth. The gear includes solar panels, sleeping pods, and other technical details. Gravity is then restored to the crew quarters. Everything seems to be going according to plan until they get a mechanical malfunctioning error regarding solar panel Zvezda, which is not fully deployed. All they can do for now is wait for ground control to issue instructions, but Misha is confident they need to go outside and fix the issue themselves. Emma calls Matt, likely to discuss the mechanical issues, but she happens to patch in just as Dr. Madigan arrives to go over the vitals. Matt could have mobility issues because the stroke temporarily cut off the blood supply to the part of his brain that controls his lower half, particularly his lower left side. He'll need to prepare for months of occupational and physical therapy. Regarding the solar panel, Emma and Misha compose a plan alongside ground control to fix it. A bad-tempered Misha continues to act dismissively toward Emma and her position as commander, even as they make their official plan. Ram demands that Misha try and be more respectful toward Emma. In response, Misha snaps at Ram, saying that he has no idea what he has had to sacrifice to be there. In a brief flashback, we see Misha with his wife and daughter, Natalia. He constructs a puppet and Natalia is ecstatic over his creation. Ram patches Lu into a call from Mei Chen, a mission control from the Chinese National Space Agency at ground control. She says China's directors need to speak with her, but in reality, Mei wants to check in on Lu. Based on their brief conversation, the two might have feelings for one another. Unbeknownst to them, someone at ground control keeps a watchful eye over Mei. Misha, too, makes a call before their mission to head out of the spacecraft. He contacts his now estranged daughter, Natalia, who is all grown up with children of her own. Misha wants forgiveness for something before he makes the spacewalk. Natalia brusquely forgives him, although, by her tone, it is obvious that she doesn't mean it. Following this, Emma reaches out to Matt. He reminds her that in space, all that matters is her and Misha. They need to trust each other and their instincts, and no one else. She then makes one final call to Lex, who has returned home for the first time since she had to call 911 for her dad, even though she lies to her mom and says she's at her friend Annie's. Before Misha and Emma make the spacewalk, they must go through the decommissioned chamber. Inside, Emma reminds him that all they have out there is each other. Even though Misha doesn't trust her, he's going to have to learn how for this to work. As they slowly make their way down the length of the shuttle tethered together, the entire world, including Matt and Lex, watch anxiously. But before they can reach the panel, they're told to pause as Lou notices there is an electrical hazard ahead. To get to where they need to go, Emma asks Misha what his plan is. Whatever it might be, she'll follow it. She knows this is his area of expertise, and they don't have time to wait for ground control. Misha volunteers to form part of a long tether and throw himself to the panel. Emma disagrees and volunteers to go. She makes it to the joint and notices one of the cables got stuck on the back of the panel's hinge. To fix it, she'll have to move to the opposite side of Zvezda, and the only way to do that is to untether herself so she can get the leverage to float to the edge and flip around. It's extraordinarily risky, but they don't really have a choice. It's a nail-biting moment as Emma lets go and floats to the edge. Thankfully, she makes it and manages to fix the hinge. To get back to where she needs to go, Emma is forced to put her entire trust in Misha as he reaches for her hand and tells her to untether her suit so he can pull her back. For a moment, Misha is the only thing anchoring Emma to the panel and preventing her from floating off into the abyss. As they retreat back to safety, Emma issues the order for Ram to launch the panel, and they watch as Zvezda finally makes a successful deployment. In the airlock, Emma asks Misha what he said in Russian before they initially headed out. He says he asked his wife, Spirit, to watch over them. Then he warns Emma she might eventually have to give up her family for this job. However, he does not say this with malicious intent, rather he speaks from experience. Another flashback shows his wife's funeral. Misha was unable to return home before she died. He begs his daughter's forgiveness and she makes him promise never to leave again. Obviously, he breaks his promise, which might be why he yet again asked Natalia's forgiveness earlier. A few hours later, the crew make a toast to Emma and Misha for their success. But Ram isn't pleased. For one, he doesn't understand why Misha seems to think he's the only person who has made sacrifices to get there. As for Emma, he's upset that he vouched for her to Darlene, and then she went and did something so reckless. Following this, Emma tucks herself into bed and imagines that Matt is there, too, spooning her and keeping her safe. Back on ground control, one of the Chinese directors appeared to notice the communications between Mei and Lu. She finds a note in Mei's desk and recognizes the calligraphy as Lu's. Realizing the relationship between the two women is more than platonic, she takes measures to reassign Mei to a new job, cutting off her only avenue of contact with Lu. Homophobia is still rampant in the world, particularly in China, and since Lu will be the first person to step foot on Mars, she has been hailed a hero there. The Chinese directors at NASA are putting immense pressure on her to remain perfect. It's not unlike the pressure her husband is putting on her son, who is scolded for earning a 98 instead of a 100 on a maths exam. Lu surprises them both when she encourages him to draw more comics simply because it makes him happy. Some part of her wants her son to feel the way she does when she's with Mei. Following this, Jack Wilmore is called to replace Mei as the chief spacecraft communicator for Atlas. When Emma learns Mei has been reassigned, she informs her team. Lu is obviously shaken by the news, although no one on the Atlas crew understands why until later. During a poker game between Misha, Ram, Kwesi, and Jack, who joins via video chat, Jack lets it slip that Lu and Mei were rumored to have had an intimate relationship. Ram is utterly disrespectful in his response, while Misha and Kwesi think it's inappropriate to discuss. Later, Lou tries to convince Misha to help her hack the comms to open a private line to May. He tells her he won't help her cheat on her husband and rather cruelly lets her know that everyone aboard the Atlas is aware. Lou immediately assumes Emma is responsible for outing her and scolds her in front of the crew. Once Emma learns what happened, she confronts Jack, coolly reprimanding him for both outing Lou and undermining her authority by sowing discord through the crew. Jack later tries to make amends for his mistake by finding a way to create a private channel for Lou and May to chat. Emma and Lou seem to make an improvement in their relationship as Emma consoles Lou after the truth spreads and gives an hour to say goodbye to May, as they will be unable to communicate again until the trip is over. Various montages show how May and Lou's relationship formed. It started 2 years before, when May started helping Lou practice her English. She would take her to a karaoke bar to sing, and it slowly made Lou more confident and fluent in the language. In turn, Lou started teaching May calligraphy. Regardless of what people believe, May and Lou never even so much as kissed. They were undeniably in love with one another, but May refused to disrespect the vows she made with her husband, despite admitting they had no love or passion between them. During their final phone call, May and Lou wish each other tearful farewells, and May promises to wait for Lou past the mission, past the parades and glory that will follow, and even until Lou's son grows up. The ring May keeps with her is a cherished keepsake with an inscription that reads, "Women hold up half the sky," a saying May said to Lou to grant her strength before gifting her the jewelry. As the mission continues, Lou will later stop hiding it and put it on a chain around her neck. On Earth, Matt tries to encourage Lex to go back to school and return to her normal life, but she's having a hard time leaving him behind at the hospital. Emma realizes Lex is trying to be her in her absence. She's attending all of her dad's doctor's appointments, befriending everyone at the hospital, and keeping track of his medications. They worry it's too much stress for her as a teenager. Eventually, Matt tells Lex she has to stop postponing school, and she returns alongside Cassie. Her friend Annie immediately greets her, and all of her school friends are nice to Lex and welcoming of Cassie. But it's hard for Lex to focus on the daily drama between their friends, as she remains distracted worrying about her dad. Lex later admits to Matt that she's afraid when she's gone something bad will happen to him. He comforts her, saying what will happen to him will happen regardless of whether or not she's there. It gives him the strength to see Lex being brave and going to school. He wants her to be happy and have her own life. That's vital to him. Speaking of Matt's recovery, while Dr. Madigan believes he will likely make a full recovery in his upper body, or close to it at least, the doctor has doubts that Matt will ever walk again. When he told Matt his recovery would last a few months, he meant he would only need to stay in the hospital for a few months. His actual, overall recovery will take years, and he might not ever be back to the way he once was. The moment he tells Emma this, she goes into defensive mode, calling that diagnosis premature and promising to contact the doctor. In the final scene, Matt tells Emma he doesn't need her to fix this right now. All he needs is his wife to be there for him. It is too early to tell right now if he will ever walk again, but he promises that he will push hard during recovery to regain his full fitness. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.